guys, it's Adria, and for today's video, in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, I'm going to be doing a mental health Q&A. I asked you guys on my Instagram to leave me some mental health related questions, and a lot of you guys responded. And if you didn't participate in this one, or if your question doesn't get answered and you would like to participate in the next Q&A, be sure to follow me on Instagram at DontBeASadPanda. Abby WB asks, how did you find it talking to your family and friends about how you felt? And did you ever try to hide how you were feeling from your family? I still kind of find it hard to talk about how I feel to my family, to be honest. Only because sometimes I feel like it's like a burden to them, you know what I mean? Sometimes I'm just like, you know. I only really had a couple close friends that I shared mental health related things with. The friends that I did were friends that kind of dealt with similar things. I do think that I lost a few good friendships because of anxiety, where I just didn't feel like they would really understand how I am. So I would definitely surround yourself with people that are understanding of it and are, you know, non-judgmental and will listen and will try to extend an ear to listen, or maybe even give you some advice and help you work through it. And my sisters have been really positive influences as far as mental health goes in my life, because they deal with a lot of the same things. We can kind of talk to each other about it and they kind of get it. And my boyfriend is very understanding of it. He has a lot of social anxiety as well. So prior relationships, the guys didn't really understand me all that much. Just surrounding yourself with people that are understanding. Not everybody is going to know everything about mental health, but definitely surrounding yourself with people that are willing to learn more and be there are the kind of people that you want in your life. All right, so the next question is from Shay W182. Do you ever feel like people brush off your anxieties or try to say that you're just lazy or overreacting when you get anxiety about doing something social or in public? Yes, I definitely feel like people do kind of minimalize it, try to make it seem smaller or less of a big deal than it is. And that can be really frustrating because I don't want anxiety to be a big deal. I really don't. So when people say like, oh, it's not a big deal, to me it's a big deal, but I don't want it to be a big deal. But when somebody tries to make it seem smaller or that I'm overreacting, I've definitely had people in my life think that I'm dramatic or just making up excuses for not doing things, and it's so beyond frustrating because you're your own worst enemy. You're being held back in a sense, and it's frustrating when you don't have everybody in your life kind of, you know, behind you. You're just trying your best and you're trying so hard, and it's so beyond frustrating. So yeah, I definitely do think that people try to make it seem less of what it is. The next question is from Ariana HXRU. Do you have any songs that relax you or make you feel better about yourself during your off days? Oh my gosh, for years I have found so much comfort in The Fray. I have been listening to The Fray since I think I was in like 7th grade. I love The Fray, and I still just listen. I think it's their self-titled album, whatever album How to Save a Life is on. I listen to that one a lot. It's so relaxing yet emotional. Anna Phillips asks, is there any tricks to feel more positive when you are depressed? I would definitely say, I mean, I know that buying things isn't always the answer, you know, like, oh, spoil yourself. But I definitely do think that treating yourself to something can help, you know, if you can afford to do so, you know, like go buy yourself an ice cream, go buy yourself a new nail polish. I don't know, it doesn't even have to be a big thing, but it can be a reminder to yourself that you're valuable and that, you know, you deserve nice new things, because I think sometimes we can feel like, oh, I don't deserve anything. But I think it's important to definitely spoil yourself when you can. Other than that, try to take a break from social media. You know, you don't even have to take a break from technology, but I mean, just don't go on social media, because I feel like those places can be very watch something positive, read something positive, you know, play something that makes you happy, because I feel like social media and just, you know, things like that in general can be kind of negative most of the time, or can have negative things on it. Don't kill my vibe. Jordan McKenzie asks, how do you handle your anxiety? I think that's a good question. It's really different for everybody. I feel like everybody kind of has their own way of handling it. Well, sometimes I feel like my anxiety is kind of stirred up by things that are are super loud. Like the other day I was watching Dr. Phil and there was like a woman like screaming bloody murder on it, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna turn this off. When I have anxiety in public and it's something that I can't really control, try not to focus on everything happening around you and kind of just bring yourself back to yourself. Like kind of, you know, think of what you're doing. I try to just breathe. Lynch Shauna asks, how do you clear your mind when you're stressed out or anxious? I go for a walk. 9 times out of 10, I go for a walk, because going for a walk, it makes you feel so much better. And the other day, it was such a beautiful day. It was like 70 degrees. There was a breeze outside. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. I went for a walk and I felt so great after. I was a little tired, but I felt good. You know, it just feels good to get out and just get some fresh air and just be walking. I always feel proud of myself after, so that's another good thing. Brajile asks, I hope I'm saying that right. I wouldn't know how else to say it. I'm so grateful that you do this, Adria. How did you realize that you have anxiety? It's funny because I didn't know that I had anxiety until I went to alternative school. I went to a classroom for kids with just kind of mental health related things. So I didn't realize that that was what I had until I went there. They were kind of bringing it all into the light for me. I'm just like, oh, that's what this is. Okay, because, you know, when I would have anxiety in school when I was younger and I didn't have a word for it, I would just say I'm sick. I would just say I don't feel well, because that was all I knew how to say. I didn't know that there was a word for it. Okay, these two questions are kind of similar, so I'm going to answer them both in one. They're from Ashley Patry and Maddie Wilson 1017. They both kind of asked basically, how do you know if you have depression and anxiety, and how do you tell your parents? If you've never been diagnosed by your doctor, you can definitely just do research on it. And I know there's people that they say when they watch my videos of me talking about depression and anxiety, they feel like, yes, like, oh my gosh, that's exactly how I feel. Obviously, that's not an official diagnosis. Just because you relate to something doesn't mean you necessarily have the same issue, but, you know, I would definitely just do some research on it. Obviously, self-diagnosis isn't official, but it's definitely better than nothing, because then next time you go to the doctor, you just be like, hey, like, I think I may have some anxiety. And with telling your parents, I never really had a moment where, like, I told anybody about it in my family, because it was always just kind of a thing for me. You know, it wasn't like a moment where I had to say like, hey guys, guess what, I think I have anxiety. You know, like I had it my whole life. So then when I eventually developed depression in my later years, I didn't realize that I had depression, so I don't know, I was a terrible communicator, and I think to a degree I still kind of am, so I never really told them. But Shelby Elizabeth asks, hey Adria, my question is, how do you cope with workplace anxiety? I've been trying and failing at finding a job and would love some advice on how to not be so anxious about it. Love you. I try to motivate myself, you know? I'll tell myself, if I get this job, like with my first paycheck, like I'll buy myself this or I'll do this. It kind of seems like you're bribing yourself, but it definitely can be motivating to get you there. Another thing is, I try so hard not to overthink it, and I know that's easier said than done, but I really don't, because I overthink everything. Like if I know I have an interview the next day, I'm just gonna be sitting there thinking like, what if they ask me this? What if I don't know what to say? What if I stutter? What if I say something stupid? What if I fart? I don't know. I try to just be like, you know what, whatever is gonna happen is gonna happen. I kind of like to think of like tomorrow as already being established. Like what's gonna happen is already gonna happen and I can't change it. That's kind of the way I like to look at it. You know, yeah, it's easier said than done, but that's what I try to do. Once I'm actually in a workplace, I feel like I definitely get less anxious as time goes on. Like once I adjust to something, I am so used to it and I'm just like, okay, like I'm good, I'm fine. But there are definitely days I wake up and I'm just like, no, I can't people today. I'm a cat today, no. There's a saying, it goes something like, if you want to go somewhere you've never been, you're gonna have to do something you've never done. And I find that encouraging when it comes to like getting a job and stuff, because I feel like with anxiety, when you hold yourself back from getting a job, you definitely beat yourself up over it. You feel kind of guilty about it. So I try to just tell myself like, hey Adria, you will be so proud of yourself if you do this. You just gotta get there. Just take each day one day at a time. That's another thing to remember, is one day at a time, because I remember I would get my work schedule and I would see the entire week and just feel overwhelmed, but I'm just like, wait a minute, I just have to take it one day at a time. Cackles Bam Batch, I don't know how to say that. Do you feel anxiety changes your personality sometimes? I definitely feel like that I'm my truest self when I'm with people that I'm so beyond comfortable with, like my family, Brandon, and even when I'm here by myself, like when I'm filming, I definitely feel like this is the truest version of myself when I'm not anxious. And I feel like definitely I am not reflected in the best way when I'm out in public. I feel like sometimes people think I'm like rude, or I just look like I've given people like the wrong impression of me just because I wasn't comfortable around them. I didn't know them all that well, so therefore I wasn't being myself. So I definitely think people have thought I was rude when really I was just nervous and just wasn't talking. So I definitely feel like anxiety kind of changes how I interact with people. 95 Hardcore asks, do you have any unusual situations that cause anxiety? Example, OCD habits not being completed properly. Something that causes anxiety for me 100% of the time is when somebody is yelling, and it doesn't even have to be yelling at me. It really doesn't. If I just hear someone yelling, I'll just be like curling up in a ball like, that's why as a kid I was always so afraid of doing something wrong. You know, I did my homework every single day. I never wanted to miss an assignment. I was just always terrified of getting yelled at, getting in trouble. And even as an adult, I'm just like, I don't want to screw anything up. I have to just do everything right. Which, I mean, definitely isn't a good way to live. I definitely know I'm going to have my faults and I'm going to slip up, but I just don't want to be yelled at. Oh my gosh, like the minute somebody starts yelling around me or at me, I'm like, bye. Or you know what always used to make me anxious when I was in school is if a kid would throw up near me. I would just... no. Oh, I won't go into it, but no. Ugh. Katie Rose 01 asks, what is it like to have an anxiety attack? For me, having an anxiety attack, I can't breathe right. It kind of feels like the breath is being taken out of me, and I kind of feel like I'm trapped. It almost feels like I'm being wrapped up in something. And you know, when people have asked me what it's felt like, I've kind of compared it to like being wrapped in saran wrap. It just feels like something is on you and you're just being attacked and you don't know how to escape it, when really it's literally all in your mind. And I feel like I can't talk. Someone will be like, are you okay? Like, are you good? Like, what's wrong? And I'll just be like, Ashley Celeste asks, who does she go to about depression and self-harm, etc.? Because she feels like her family and teachers kind of don't really see how bad it is. The people that I've really opened up to about it was when I was in counseling, opening up to a therapist. I don't know if you have a therapist. If you go to the doctor, I would definitely open up to your doctor about that. Nearly every school has a guidance counselor that you should have access to, and if you can bring yourself to go visit that counselor, I would definitely say something to them. They could reach out and call your mom if you wanted them to. They don't have to, but Angela Marie asks, my question is, how do you deal with being depressed and practicing proper self-care? I struggle with this because I hardly get any sleep and I find it hard to take care of myself. It's so easy to just get home from school or from work and to just sit there on your computer, sit there and watch TV, but just think to yourself like, hey, I could paint my nails right now. I could wash my face right now. I could go shave my legs right now. Because those are things nobody feels like doing, trust me. I mean, they're things that take a little while. So, and I think another thing that would be good is to have a girls' day type thing, because I think my sisters and I all kind of dealt with this where we're just like, oh, we're just wallowing and we don't feel like doing anything. We're sitting on our technology. And what I would do is I'm just like, hey, want me to do your makeup? Hey, want me to do your nails? And, you know, it would just kind of be motivating. And also something else that I would recommend, you know, if you're like, okay, I feel like I need to take better care of myself, look up like a morning routine on YouTube. I feel like that would be helpful for me. If I see another girl just like pampering herself, like, oh, I'm washing my hair, oh, I'm brushing my teeth, oh, I'm so clean, I would just be like, oh my gosh, I smell like an onion, I need to go bathe. Brandon, leave me alone. I know that self-care can be really frustrating. There was somebody that went to my school who I definitely know she had anxiety problems, and she, you know, her hair would be unbrushed and she would just look like she was in old clothing. And it's really kind of sad when people fall into things like that. And, you know, if you see somebody that doesn't look like they're bathed, or, you know, there's definitely a deeper rooted issue there most times. So it's best to just be sympathetic rather than be like, wow, you look terrible today. Buying yourself like a new body wash would be like inspiring for you to take better care of yourself. Something like that. If I get like a new face wash, I'm just like, oh, I want to wash my face all day. So I hope that was helpful. Jamie Lynn Reynolds asked, how do you cope with having social anxiety? Love you, Adria, panda hugs. I love you too, girl. It's, I don't know. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out social anxiety. It's probably something I'm always gonna struggle with to a degree. Something that I have found helpful is complimenting people. When I was at my last job, if I would be working on a Sunday and a lot of people would come in and like their Sunday best, I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna try to compliment people today. Because when you compliment somebody, it really kind of breaks a barrier down. There was a lady at Walmart, an employee at Walmart, and I told her that I really liked her nails. I remember being younger and wanting to compliment people, but I wouldn't because I was too shy to. Nobody is gonna have a problem with you complimenting them, believe me. The other day, Brandon and I were eating at a Chinese buffet, and this woman comes up to us and she was like, oh, I really like your hair. And it made my day because I was having such a bad hair day and I just braided it and I was like, oh my gosh, my hair. I mean, you could definitely make somebody's day and it definitely makes you feel better. And once I compliment someone, I really feel like empowered, like, wow, you know, talking to people isn't that hard. And I would recommend that to anyone with social anxiety. It can break the ice like an ice pick, girl. And the last question, wow, this is a long video. I've been recording for so long. No More Scars asks, how do you find motivation to do stuff when all you want to do is stay in bed all day and simultaneously worry about things? Anyway, I love everything you do and thank you so much, Adria. Okay, so when I have free time, you know, like when I have like a day where I don't really have to do anything, I make myself a list of things that I want to get done. And I know how easy it is to just want to stay in bed and not do anything, but I try to think of like how I feel later if I stay in bed. I kind of think of, you know, how I'll feel in 2 hours if I stay here in bed. I'm just like, okay, you won't like it, you'll be mad at yourself, so get up, girl. Also, another thing is when I eat better, it's easier for me to push myself to get up and do more things, because I find that when I eat more junky stuff, if I go have like fast food or like chocolate or I don't know, it can definitely make you feel more lethargic, which definitely doesn't help your depression at all. So you are what you eat, girls, so eat better. And I tell that to everyone I know that has trouble motivating themselves, is to definitely watch what you eat, you know, watch what you put in. If you are what you eat, you want to put a pile of grease in your mouth. So, and if you are having trouble getting up and motivating yourself, I would, you know, give yourself a minute. Just be like, okay, I'm just gonna gather myself as, what did my mom call it? My mom would call it something. Oh, I would go wake my mom up in the morning and she would be in bed and she would say, I need to gather my bearings. And I'm just like, what? So, you know, gather yourself before you get up. Kind of like say like, okay, you know, I want to do this today. I should, you know, I definitely want to try to do this today. You can do anything that you want. Nothing is impossible, because I feel like a lot of times our anxiety or our depression kind of tells us what we can and can't do. But anxiety and depression don't have to control your every move. I remember at my last job telling my manager that I was a horrible social person. I was just like, I am so antisocial. And he said, you know what he said? He said, I don't believe that for 1 second. I am really good at just faking it till I make it, girl. And sometimes that's what you have to do. Just put yourself through the motions and you'll be really surprised what you can do. At the end of the day, it's being proud of little things that you do. Things that are super easy for other people do come hard sometimes for people struggling. So just try a little bit each day and just keep trying. So yeah, I don't think I answered all of the questions. I know there were some I had to skip. I was trying to answer as many as possible and trying to make it more variety. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and let me know down in the comments below any other mental health related videos you would like me to do for the month of May while it is still Mental Health Awareness Month. And even after that, I will continue doing mental health videos. So yeah, I will see you guys again real soon. Until then, panda hugs. I love you guys. Bye!